over to X, man. We're going to jump right into this story. This is a big time story. And it's been reported that multiple WNBA sources tell Front Office Sports the best case scenario for free agency will be early March. And that's if they ink dries on the new CBA by early February. So let's say they have a deal done.
March. That's the earliest free agency can start, according to multiple WNBA sources speaking to Front Office Sports. And the season? Still set to tip off May 8th. Do the math, and the problem becomes obvious. Between free agency and opening night, teams have to conduct the expansion draft, hold the college draft on April 13th, complete training camp by April 19th. A tight schedule? No. Impossible.
The 2026 season will tip off on May the 8th. Now, May the 8th is when the date's supposed to start. Now, I'm going to tell you, if free agency started in March, the season is not going to start May 8th. So that right there tells me ain't no ifs, ands, ain't no buts. The season ain't going to start in May. Because we still got to do free agency. Then we also got to remember there's a thing.
Here's what that compressed timeline actually means in practice. Free agency normally starts in early January and runs through early February. 2 full months for teams to evaluate rosters, make moves, and integrate new players before training camp. Now, they're looking at just 4 weeks total. 4 weeks to rebuild rosters, 4 weeks for the expansion draft, and 4 weeks before players even report. And that's assuming the CBA gets signed by early February, which as of last Friday, hasn't happened. The Players' Union is still waiting on a response to the proposal they sent over a month ago, a proposal that hasn't changed. 30% revenue share, $10 million salary cap, Supermax climbing to $249,000, minimum salary at $66,000. Those numbers have been public for weeks. What hasn't been public? What the league is offering in return.
2026 season. Now, as of Friday, right, the Players Union was still waiting on a response from the league to propose to the proposal that they sent over a month ago. Now, multiple sources told Front Office Sport that the proposal the union is seeking a 30% share of the league gross revenue and a salary cap around $10 million, man. Everybody keep reporting. We already know this part, bro. Like, all they doing is copying and pasting the same articles, bro.
Training camp is the part everyone's forgetting. This isn't the NBA, where veterans can show up and run sets they've been running for years. The WNBA just added a 15th team, rosters are getting blown up, and the Indiana Fever could look completely different depending on how free agency shakes out. Every team needs time. In the weight room, running offensive sets, building defensive chemistry. You cannot manufacture that in 3 weeks. Look at last season with normal prep time. The Fever started 0 to 5 before they figured out how to play together. The Dallas Wings went through 3 different starting lineups in the first month, and they had a full training camp. Now imagine cutting that preparation time in half and expecting opening night to look professional. It's not just unrealistic, it's a recipe for chaos.
The Fever and the Liberty will have road trips. I think they will have road trips just on the strength of them being the most popular teams. Now, the first back-to-back of the season is opening weekend, when the Los Angeles Sparks play on May 10th, and they left the series. I don't know what that is. Let's read the second paragraph. It says the second extension of the original 31 CBA deadline on January 9th, with no deal reached, no agreement to a third negotiation.
The league keeps insisting they're committed to a 30-game season starting May 8th. Multiple sources told Front Office Sports that the owners have no interest in a lockout. The union authorized a strike vote in December, but that was precautionary, not a threat. Publicly, both sides say the season will happen on time. But the math tells a different story. Even in the best-case scenario, if the CBA is signed February 1st, free agency doesn't start until March. Let's say March 3rd to give teams a few days to prepare. From there, 35 days until the college draft on April 13th. 6 days until training camp on April 19th. 19 days until opening night on May 8th. That gives teams just 60 days to sign free agents, evaluate draft picks, integrate rookies, and build championship-level chemistry. Not tight, impossible.
Way to construct rosters by the start of training camp on April the 19th. I don't know if that's enough time. So they basically saying that if free agency started in March, right? So the whole month of March for free agency, they're going to try to squeeze in free agency, squeeze in the expansion draft, squeeze in a lottery, and everybody's going to report back to training camp by April the 19th. That is the plan. That is the plan as of right now, if this deal gets signed by the beginning of February. Now, however, in the middle of free agency, front office will also be prepared.
Look at who this affects the most. The Las Vegas Aces open May 8th against Phoenix, then immediately hit the road for a 4-game stretch. The Indiana Fever, New York Liberty, and the Aces all have extended early season road trips. These are the 3 most popular teams in the league, the ones that drove record ratings last year, and they're expected to play crucial early games with rosters that barely know each other. The Los Angeles Sparks have back-to-back games opening weekend, the first of the season, right when teams should still be figuring out rotations. This isn't a schedule built for success. It's built for chaos. And here's the part that should worry everyone. The league released this schedule knowing the CBA isn't signed, knowing free agency hasn't started, and knowing training camp timelines are impossible. That means one of 2 things. Either they're incredibly confident a deal gets done in the next 2 weeks, or they're preparing fans for a delay they haven't officially announced yet.
Now, do I believe it's going to be a lockout? No, I don't believe it's going to be a lockout. But I also don't believe it's enough time on the clock for them to make that May 8th starting date. I think the season could be delayed 2 to 3 weeks if they sign by the beginning of February. I'm thinking 2 to 3 weeks delay, because you don't ever want to do anything in a rush, because when you rushing stuff don't ever go right. Stuff don't ever go right, and I feel like this could be leading us.
The union's proposal includes eliminating the designated player exception, a move that would completely change how teams build their rosters. This isn't a small negotiating point. This is a structural overhaul of the league's entire salary system. And according to multiple sources, the league still hasn't responded to that proposal. We're no longer talking about haggling over percentages. We're talking about fundamental disagreements over how the league operates. Meanwhile, front offices are stuck in complete limbo. General managers can't make offers. Agents can't negotiate deals. Players don't know where they'll be playing next season. And the draft is just 68 days away. College players, who should be preparing for the biggest moment of their careers, don't even know which teams are rebuilding and which are contending, all because free agency hasn't started yet.
A commitment to the league's 30th season being played. Sources who familiar with the mentality of the owners have repeated that they have no interest in invoking a lockout. The union voted to authorize the strike in December, but has previously said it was a measure of caution and not an indication of what they need to do. This is getting very, very interesting with the WNBA. This whole lockout, but I'm like I stated, I'm worried about free agency. I want to know y'all thoughts down in the comment section right now. Make sure y'all keep them bills on. I will be back with more content. And until next time.
Here's what nobody is saying out loud, but everyone is thinking. A 2 to 3 week delay is the best case scenario at this point. Not because the league wants to delay the season, but because cramming everything into a 60-day window is going to produce an inferior product on the court. Think about what the WNBA just accomplished. Record ratings, record attendance, record merchandise sales, mainstream media coverage. For the first time, Caitlin Clark brought millions of new fans who'd never watched women's basketball before. And now the league is about to start the most important season in its history, with teams that haven't had proper training camp playing in front of those new fans. First impressions matter. When casual viewers tune in and see teams running sloppy offense because they've only practiced together for 2 weeks, those fans won't come back. When the Fever start 0-8 because half their roster is new and they haven't built chemistry, the media will write headlines about how Caitlin Clark can't translate her talent to winning. When the Liberty looked disjointed defending their championship because free agency and preparation were rushed, it confirms every negative stereotype about the league that it just spent a year disproving. The league is prioritizing the calendar over quality, appearance over preparation. And the people who pay the price? The players performing under impossible conditions, and the fans who deserve better. A May 8 start made sense when everyone assumed the CBA would be done by January. It doesn't anymore. Pushing the season back to late May or early June gives teams proper prep time, front offices room to make smart decisions instead of panic moves, and players the chance to actually learn their teammates' tendencies before games start counting. But admitting a delay is admitting a failure. It's admitting that CBA negotiations went worse than expected, that the league doesn't have its house in order at the most crucial moment in its history, and that all the momentum from last season could stumble right out of the gate. The owners don't want a lockout. The players don't want a strike. Both sides want the season to happen. But wanting something and having the infrastructure to pull it off are two different things. Right now, the WNBA is trying to build a house without a foundation and hoping nobody notices the cracks. The real question isn't whether the season will happen. The question is, does the league have the courage to delay it long enough to do it right? Because starting on time with unprepared teams is worse than starting late with a professional product. The fans who just discovered this league deserve to see it at its best, not stumble through an avoidable opening month. What do you think happens? Does the league stick to May 8th and hope for the best, or finally admit what everyone already knows and push the season back? Drop your predictions in the comments. And if you want to stay on top of every development in these CBA negotiations, hit subscribe, because this story is far from over.